Hello, my name's Bob Feil. I'm the Product Development Manager for Swapmeet Consulting in New York. And I'm also a weekend sailor racing with a small boat club on the South Shore of Long Island. And that interest has generated a need for a better scoring system for our weekend sailboat races. So with that, Swapmeet has put together this app that we call Sail Times that does time-on-time scoring. And it's based on a paper that we found online written by Russ Cordoza back in 1996. And there's some additional support for that with some other papers available. Russ's paper describes the benefits of it and how it works. And what we've done is adopt the algorithms and put them in this neat little application to make it easy to round the marks, figure out your competitive progress during the race, and also easily score your race at the end. So I want to introduce you to the app and show you the basic features and some of the inputs. We typically start with setting the start time, which includes identifying the name of the race. We've got a few inputs. The key factor is, of course, the start time, because that's going to be used as the elapsed time marker to calculate the score. In addition to that, you have a mark counter. We'll see how that's entered in just a minute. Mark counter is it keeps tabs, not just the marks, but also you have one mark for each buoy as you go around, plus one for the finish line. If your finish line happens to be different from or not not end on a mark. If you have multiple laps, you just double the number of marks. Okay, and at the end of the race, when the mark counter equals the quantity of marks for the race, the display will show a final lap. Okay, and that once it's final, then you can update it as many times as you want, and that becomes, of course, the finish time. And if you get late finish times, it's not a problem with that. You can enter as many times as you need to get accurate race results. This cell phone number is going to be used to transmit your information to the other boats in the race that are running the same app, and of course the PHRF is used to calculate your position in the race with respect to the reference time. And I'll show you a little bit more about that too. Now we're going to put in the cell phone number, and the cell phone numbers for the competitors' boats, or what's going to be used to transmit your messages, your position and mark times to those boats, and also vice versa. So they'll do the same thing in their Sail Time app, and when they round the mark, you'll get a message back from them using your cell phone number. And you'll see later on when you'll be able to personalize this a little bit, put some information about your boat, customize it by adding a picture. Again, I want to go back to the cell phone number for just a minute. It's extremely important that you have the cell phone number in place for all the boats in the race, so that the app can easily transmit the result information to the other boats. So this is the basic input screens. As I said, you can customize it a little bit by selecting a picture. You might use the back of the boat with a name on it, or you might have something, a picture that you prefer with under full sail. And once you hit the save button, you'll see that the picture then replaces the insignia, the logo, and also puts in the PHRF in the upper right-hand corner of the picture, so it's easy to reference. The next step is adding a boat, and these are your competitors' boats. They'll be inserted behind your boat in the roster, so your boat will always be, the profile boat will always be at the top of the roster, and and as you as you add boats, again, they get inserted in between, inserted at the top of the list. So if you have a preferred order, you want to keep in mind that the boats that you want at the top will go last. And there's no limit to the number of boats. You can just keep adding them, and it uses. You can simply scroll the screen to access each individual boat, and the data is automatically of course updated each time a new boat or a new piece of information is entered. So here we have 3 boats. There's no data associated with them yet, and we're going to probably will select the Jollymon first by actually pressing on. This is hard to see on the screen, but by pressing on the picture itself, it will generate a time mark, which would then subsequently get transmitted through a text message to the other boats in the race. We do this as each boat rounds the mark. It sends out a text message and gives you the option for receiving that message of entering it into your app, so that you can see where you are, what your position is in the race relative time. So here we receive the information from the Windancer, and we're entering the Windancer's time around the first mark. And we're putting numbers in that'll hopefully demonstrate what it is, the function of the PHRF. So you can see, excuse me, I said Windancer, but that was in Chaos. Okay, now we'll enter Windancer's time. So we're entering a time that's earlier than Jollymon in this case by 1 minute, and so they almost match. It's 11:28, so they're in the same minute. And then Chaos's time, which is the reference mark, is 8:10. So you're talking only a minute difference between the 3 of them. And yet you can see that there's a 17-minute lead for the slower boats due to the PHRF handicap. Okay, so again, Chaos came in at 8:10. The Windancer is 11. Jollymon is 12. But the lead boat is Windancer again because of its handicap, and Jollymon is just behind that. So then the next step is to repeat this process until all of the boats have rounded all their marks. Okay, so this is when we just got they all rounded the first mark. We're now just entering the data for the second mark. So you can see now Windancer at 8:18 is on mark 2. It's become the reference boat because it was the first one to the next mark. And each time there's a new reference boat, the data is recalculated and distributed against all the boats in the roster. You can see that update with the changes in the lead and the lag time. We repeat the process until all of the boats have rounded all of the marks. And when that happens, the display then will show the final numbers. And you can re-edit the final numbers as many times as you want to get the finished race results. Each time, as I said earlier, each time the primary boat enters its numbers, it broadcasts its numbers to the other boats. And in doing so, in this case, we're working on a simulator so that we can't actually broadcast it, but it'll send out a report, and we'll show you just what the report looks like in just a moment. And you can see we're continuing to do the update, and what will happen is we'll see the final results on the screen in just a minute as the mark number for each boat begins to equal the mark for the number of quantity. So here we have the report, the single line report, each time the primary boat rounds its mark, it sends out this message. All of the other boats would do the same thing, running the same app. So you use this information to update your app so that you know where you are relative to the other boats in the race. Here you see the final as each boat makes its rounds its third mark, and the positions. These generate the final positions in the race. And doing that, so we're just rounding our final. We have the first two boats have completed the final. Again, what we're doing is just entering data, the current, essentially the current time, accepting the current time. And by doing so, there's only a few seconds spread between the boats, so that the results are going to be based almost entirely on the PHRF, which you can see demonstrated. The first boat 14 seconds, 14:35, 14:41, 14:53. They're all with a few seconds apart, and their position is directly attributed to the PHRF rating. As I said earlier, this is you can initiate a Facebook broadcast. Again, if it assumes you're logged in. If you're not logged in, then it can it'll prompt you to log in, and it will send out a finish report that looks like this. It includes the name of your regatta, and the order is based on the calculated finish time, based on of course on the PHRF handicap. So these are the final results for this race, and if you use the finish report at the bottom, it will produce essentially the same report and send that via text message to all the boats in the race. And as a reminder, there's of course a link to the Swap Meet Consulting website, and you can have access to additional documentation and the Russ Cardozo's paper describing the algorithms and of course the benefits of doing time-on-time scoring. And we hope you found this helpful, and we're looking forward to your feedback. Hopefully you get the opportunity to use it, play with it, and make it work for you. Thank you for your time.